we're going to identify the slope of a linear equation. So you're going to be given an equation and you need to find which value represents the slope. One type of form for finding slope is called slope-intercept form. So whenever you have a linear equation, one of the easiest forms to get it into to identify the slope is slope-intercept form. That's where you have y isolated on one side of the equal sign all by itself and all the rest of the values on the other side. When it's in this form, the value multiplied by x is called the slope, and what's added or subtracted on will be the y-intercept. That's why it's called slope-intercept form, because you can easily identify the slope and the y-intercept. Okay, so the value multiplied by x. So we're going to get everything into this form so we can identify what the slope is. The first couple are pretty easy. They're already in slope-intercept form. Y is on one side of the equal sign all by itself. In this case, we have y equals 4x plus 3. So the number multiplied by x is 4. That means our slope is equal to 4. What's added on, that plus 3, that's the y-intercept. Positive 3, that's where your line would go through the y-axis. Okay, this one, again, y is isolated on one side of the equal sign by itself. So 2/3 is the value multiplied by x. So our slope is 2/3. The minus 6 would be your y-intercept. Right. This one, we have to get y all by itself on one side of the equal sign. So I'm just going to put a line down through the equal sign. Remember, you're always going to do the opposite operation to move something from one side to the other. And anything you do to one side of the equal sign, you have to do to the other side. So I want to move this x to get y by itself. It's a positive x, so minus x is the opposite. X minus x is 0, so we have y equals -2 minus x. All right, well, if I want it in this form, I would put my x value in front. So this is the same thing as y equals, well, x is negative, so keep it negative x, and we have a -2. So the number multiplied by x is our y-intercept, or is our slope. Our y-intercept is the -2. Because there's not a number there, negative x is the same thing as -1x. So we're going to just put a 1 there. That means our slope is -1. So again, when we isolate y with the value multiplied by x, in this case -1 will be the slope. Right over here, I need to get rid of this positive 5 by subtracting 5 on both sides. 5 minus 5 is 0, so I'm left with -y, don't forget that minus, it can't just disappear, equals x. Here I can combine, -6 minus 5 is -11. But y cannot be negative, so we have to make it positive. Currently it's being multiplied by a negative. You can think of it as being multiplied by -1. Opposite of multiplying by -1 is dividing by -1. But we're going to divide everything on both sides by -1. -1 divided by -1 is +1, so we're left with +1y, or just y, equals x divided by -1 is -1x, or you can just write -x. -11 divided by -1 is +11. So in this case, the value multiplied by x is -1. So again, our slope equals -1. Let's try 2 more that are just a little more complicated, where we have to do a little bit of math before we get to the answer. I'm going to start by getting rid of that +3 by subtracting 3 on both sides. 3 minus 3 is 0. So we have 2y equals 6x minus 8, because -5 minus 3 is -8. All right, y is being multiplied by +2. Opposite of multiplying by 2 is dividing by 2. But I have to divide everything on both sides by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so y equals 6 divided by 2 is 3, so we have 3x minus 8 divided by 2 is 4, meaning our value multiplied by x when it's in slope-intercept form is 3. So our slope is equal to 3. do one more. Again, I want to get my y all by itself. I have to get rid of this minus 1/3 x by adding 1/3 x to both sides. Negative 1/3 x plus 1/3 x is 0. So we have negative 1/6 y equals, I'm going to put my x term in front because in slope-intercept form, the x value is in front. So I have a positive 1/3 x, and it's a positive 12, so I'm going to put plus 12. Right, this part's a little more complicated. Y is being multiplied by a negative fraction. Opposite of multiplying is dividing, but when you divide by a fraction, you actually multiply by its reciprocal. So we're going to multiply both sides by 6/1, but it's negative and we want to get rid of the negative, so we're going to multiply by negative 6/1. And I'm going to multiply this entire side by negative 6/1. Okay, these cancel each other out because 6 times 6 is 6, 1 times 6 is 6, and 6 divided by 6 is 1. Negative times a negative is a positive, so we have y equals 1/3 x times negative 6/1. So let's deal with the fraction part. I'm just going to do it over here. So 1/3 times negative 6/1. 1 times negative 6 is negative 6. 3 times 1 is 3. And negative 6 divided by 3 is negative 2. So I know when I multiply these together, negative 6/1 times 1/3 x is negative 2x. Plus, okay, over here I can just multiply 12 times negative 6, and I can multiply that out times negative 6. So 2 times 6 is 12. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 1 is 7. So it's going to be negative 72. So my value multiplied by x when it's in slope-intercept form is negative 2, meaning my slope equals negative 2. Again, that one was quite a bit of work to get the slope, but it's easiest to identify it when it's in that form. All right, I have a few problems for you to go ahead and try. Try them out, pause the video, and come back when you're ready for the answers. All right, the first one, slope is negative 3/5. Second one, our slope is 7. Number 3, I just have to subtract 4 on both sides, and we get y equals negative 3 minus 4 is negative 7 plus x. And I'm going to reverse this, so y equals x minus 7. Had to keep my x positive and the minus or negative in front of the 7. And there is 1x, so the number multiplied by x is 1, meaning my slope equals 1. I'm just going to box that because I have a lot of work there. All right, fourth one, I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. 2x minus 2x is 0. I have a negative y equals negative 5x minus 2x is negative 7x. Y can't be negative, so I'm going to divide both sides by negative 1. Negative divided by negative is a positive, so y equals negative 7x divided by negative 1 is positive 7x. That means my slope equals 7, because 7 is the number multiplied by x. But you're probably asking, but there's nothing added on. Well, if there's nothing added on, it's the same thing as plus 0. So my y-intercept would be 0. So don't worry about that part. Just identify that slope. Number 5, I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. 2x minus 2x is 0, so I have 1/2 y equals, I'm going to put the negative 2x in front and put the plus 7 in back. Here I'm going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal, 2/1. This entire side by 2/1, which is the same thing as 2 because 2 divided by 1 is 2. I don't have any fractions on this side, so I'm just going to leave it as 2. Here, they cancel each other out because 2 times 1 is 2, 1 times 2 is 2, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. So we have y equals 2 times negative 2x is negative 4x, plus 2 times 7 is 14. So my slope, number multiplied by x, is negative 4. All right, the last one. I'm going to start by subtracting 6. It's a positive 6, so I have to subtract 6 on both sides. I have negative 1/5 y equals x minus 2. 4 minus 6 is negative 2. Here I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 5 over 1 by the reciprocal. I can write it as negative 5. It's the same thing as over 1 because negative 5 divided by 1 is negative 5. If you want me to write it as a fraction, I can, but I don't have any fractions over here, so I don't really have to worry about that. These cancel each other out because we get 5 over 5, which is 1, and a negative times a negative is a positive, so I have y equals negative 5 times x is negative 5x, negative 5 times negative 2 is positive 10, and my value that's multiplied by x when it's in the correct form is negative 5, so my slope equals negative 5. Hopefully you were able to figure out the slope in all of those.